Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? Good morning. Surprise.
We're here.
Yeah. Barbara, happy Valentine's Day.
Well, happy, not quite Valentine's Day.
Well,
Um,
that's true. Yeah, we're close
it's
though.
Valentine's Day is a weird day for me because I almost never have a honey on Valentine's Day, and so what do you do? Self pity, self loathing. Uh,
I make myself cake.
I don't know. You make yourself cake. Yeah, I already ate the cake. I bought a chocolate mousse Valentine's cake at Trader
Mm.
Joe's to share with Yvonne, and I ate the whole thing. I'll, I have to get a. I'll have to get another one.
I too stopped and got cake at lunch yesterday, a little fudge cake. I ate half of it, the other half's downstairs. I brought it home to
Uh,
share with the husband. Isn't that nice of me?
you're sweet. You
I
say you're
am.
better. You have more discipline than I do. I said, "Oh, this is good. I'll have the other half." I did do it on two separate days.
Oh, well.
But I wasn't going to just take half of Valentine's, which is in the shape of a heart, half of a little heart shaped cake, and say, "Here you are. Here you go, bitch."
You broke my
Like,
heart.
no, yeah, you broke my
You don't listen to what I tell you.
heart. Oh, God.
All right. Well,
Uh,
welcome everybody on Facebook. We've got a few people out there watching. Welcome to episode 240 or live 11. They're both the same. Brought to you by listener support through Patreon and through our kind sponsors, Best Shot, Show Season, Evolution, and the Absorber Towel. Of course, we're live, so we're not going to do the advertisements, but I will cut them in later. Just know that we appreciate all the support you guys can throw uh, at our sponsors. All right, this week we're going to talk foot care for the pups. Angry Bird is going to take a look at Hyponic product line, and we're going to talk why breed profile grooming is important. So, Barbara, it has been like 2 weeks since we've chatted. I feel like it's forever. What's new?
I
I
know.
tell me
Hey,
about the
hey,
the sit down.
what, you want to hear about my Elvis moment?
I do.
Okay, so everybody, I think you remember that we had to abort the live podcast last week because shortly before we were due to go on, uh, I hurt myself, and what happened was that uh, I was sitting on the toilet trying to make shit happen when when this is what we call Elvis moment. Now, some of you may not know or even care about Elvis, who was like huge to me in my teenage years, and I was a giant Elvis fan, much to the chagrin of my Benny Goodman parents.
Ha ha.
Um, uh, and but I learned kind of through the grapevine that Elvis died while sitting on the toilet trying to take a poop. And so that as I sit on the toilet trying to make shit happen, um, it wasn't happening. And I was playing iPhone solitaire, as I am want to do. And I am so addicted to iPhone solitaire. I mean, it's just like one game after another. I can play 100 games in a day. It's not unusual. I think I've played something like 9,000 games of iPhone solitaire. So I'm sitting there one game after another, and I notice that my legs are going to sleep. And I said, "Oh shit, my legs are going to sleep," but nothing's happening. And so I played another, but just another game, and then oh, just another game. So my legs really went to sleep. And finally, I said, I probably should get up and give up this mission. And
Abort. Abort.
abort, abort. Stop the iPhone solitaire. Get on with it. I stood up and immediately collapsed because I didn't know. I have had my legs go to sleep before right there on that toilet, and I've stood up, and then you just stand there, and then your legs get some circulation, and then you walk. But this time, my leg, I thought my leg would just be like a solid stick or something. No, it was just like jello,
Ooh.
jello leg. It was just like it just wouldn't support my weight. And I just like crashed over onto the tile floor and twisted my ankle and stretched everything's which ways that they shouldn't have stretched. And I lay there with my pants still down because
Ah!
like I went to pull up my pants and then I went down. And so I've got the bare ass on the very cold tile. And this is stone tile. This is not like a linoleum tile. There's no warmth factor in this. So it was cold. And the ankle thing, it really hurt. And I thought, Elvis, this is how it Elvis, this is how it happens. I'm having an Elvis moment. And I even had a sense that I might lose consciousness. And so, first thing, what I did, and the good news is that I had my phone with me. So, yeah, I was playing solitaire. So, I got my phone. It didn't fall out of my reach or anything. And
And
I
then you
texted
texted me.
Susie.
Yeah.
And so, first thing I did was text Susie to tell her we might be delayed. And then I texted Yvonne and asked her to come over here real fast. And I caught her just as she was getting ready to go out and go to a Super Bowl party. So I just made it with her. So she said, I'll be right there. Well, it's a bit of a trip from my house to her house. And as I waited there, I started getting colder and colder and colder. And I thought, shoot, this is hypothermia coming on. I had better not lie here for very long. I couldn't stand it. I was starting to have tremors from the cold. And so I thought, well,
That's
let's just
because
see
you had
if
no pants on.
had no pants on. This, I mean, it's totally humiliating. How can this happen? You know,
I'm sorry, I
well,
shouldn't laugh because
so here,
I'll be right behind you someday. Not right behind you, but
no, yeah, all right. You'll have your moment. You'll
I'm
have
sure.
your Elvis moment someday, or you'll
I'm
have
sure I
some. It
will.
it was a it was awareness of impending death moment. I was scared. I was scared. And if I had not been able to reach Yvonne, I would have called 911. Um, but I those paramedics at my fire station are these good looking hunky guys. I
Yes, I
you
can
know
see
I
calling them.
don't I I would like to meet them, but not with my bare ass on the bathroom floor.
So, did Yvonne
No.
eventually
So
get there?
yeah, but Yvonne eventually got there, and I got up. I was able to get up because I have bad leaking ceiling in that bathroom, and I have buckets there that just stay there all around the clock. And then when it rains, I make sure I have them placed properly. Well, so right at my reach, I had two buckets, and I turned them over and I used them as a platform to raise myself until I could then reach the bathroom counter and really pull myself up. And I discovered that I could put weight on the ankle, so that meant my ankle wasn't broken. And I hobbled, and you will remember that it's only 10 steps from the guest room bed to the bathroom. And I
Yes.
just hobbled over and I got on that bed and waited for Yvonne. But I was very shook up and very out of it, out of sorts. And what
Unexpected.
my yeah, it was unexpected and it was shattering. It was really a glimpse of death. It really was, Susie. It was really a glimpse of death, and that just scared me. I would say it scared the shit out of me, but that hasn't happened yet. Not yet. You know,
Well,
like I may never shit again.
yeah.
That was
Well, here's the suggestion. Do you now
God.
switch over to like the house coat dress thing at night so you don't have to pull your pants up? And then if you fall
No,
down again, no one will see your butt.
no, no. I don't do that because I have to have something on my butt at all times because of
Yes, the butt thing.
urinary leakage.
Yeah.
you know, if it's not one thing, it is another thing. Welcome to old age, Barbara.
So
Like
what you're saying is
no.
that
So
Peter Pan had it right.
Peter, what was that?
Peter Pan had it right. Never grow up.
Yeah, never grow up. But your body, you see, even though you may not grow up, your body age, your body does,
Yeah,
and
I know.
your body goes through these changes no matter where your heart and soul is. And so, um, but what I realized is that my house has a lot of falling hazards still, even though I've corrected some things. And I need to go through and do a real serious thing. And I also need to get my walking canes kind of back in circulation around the house.
Good idea.
Um, yeah, not so. It's not like I need it so much when I go to the store, but I need it in getting up and down. I just need to have them handy,
Well, I'm glad it
and
didn't turn out
so
worse. I'm glad you had your phone, and I'm
yeah,
glad you were able to get to me, although I wasn't sure what I was going to do other than worry until you told me you were up.
yeah, I
But
know.
yeah, I'm
Well,
glad you did.
and
So, yeah.
and and the one thing that my doctor said when I told him my Elvis moment story is after he finished laughing, he said. You should call the paramedics, and the reason I want you to call the paramedics if that happens again is because they check you out.
No, that's true. Good point.
Yeah, they check you out and make sure everything else is functioning, and you need to know that after a fall like that.
Good
So
idea.
I agree. I promised him that if it happened again, oh God, don't let it happen again.
Yeah, still call
So
me first, though.
but and see, that's the second fall I've had since November
I
because
don't like to hear that.
I tripped and fell and hurt my arm, like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and so I tripped in my aromatherapy lab. So I have to be really cautious. I have to just change some things, unclutter the floor area, and
Good plan.
just be cautious, and and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
So,
now enough about me.
yes, enough about you. Let's talk about me. So, I am continuing to have great success with the absorber towel. I got a container, a Tupperware container to stick my two absorber towels in, and I just leave one in there and then I use the other one and then I rotate them. No black spots, no issues, no nothing. I've got a little vinegar and some water in there and I seal it between appointments, but if I didn't, big deal. It'll spill a little bit.
And these are actually the half towels.
Half towels. They roll up really nicely and fit right in a half
Yeah.
of an oval Tupperware container. And the lid, I just pop it on and off in between if I remember. And I leave one out and the other one stays covered and it just sits in the corner of my bathtub. It's out of the way. I have a huge bathtub, so that works really well. And I cannot stress how much I'm enjoying them. So I hope that, oh, no, that's not why I brought it up though. I brought it up because did you see the put it under the happy hoodie post?
Yeah, what a terrific idea.
Yes.
And I'm gonna suggest that idea to Yvonne, who has hidden my
Oh,
now
no.
now hidden I still have the other package unopened where that I can. But I just noticed yesterday that I couldn't see the absorber that I cut in half anywhere in the back. It's just like I don't know. She's done something with them, and
Something
she's taking
nefarious.
something nefarious. She just like what a deal.
Oh, well,
Okay, so
that's
sometimes
interesting.
you yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that though. I think that's really excellent.
Especially for my
And
big doodles and with their big, gigantic doodle ears. Yeah.
yeah, in the ears. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I had an
So
interesting experience this week with the dog
okay.
that almost bit me. Remember the one that got snuck around the outside of the soft e-collar and scratched my hand that I thought was a bite, and then by the time I cleaned it up I realized it just scratched my hand and it actually hadn't,
Yeah.
there was no puncture. Well, I got to talk to Mom this time when I went over there to groom the dog. The dog
Right.
has been having reoccurring ear infections, and mind you, I only see them every 3 to 4 months, so it isn't anything I'm doing. That's something about the ear health on their own. Not that he was a volunteer for ear hair pulling, but when it got bad, I would occasionally go in and straighten it out. I could see it was wicking out some of the waxy stuff. They've been wrestling with him. I mean, total full on adversarially wrestling with him to get his nails done and his butt squeezed. And he is just getting worse and worse for me because of what's happening at the vet. And all of a sudden, through Chrissy's podcast, the Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast, talks about doing the questioning of the owner to find out exactly what is happening. And it was just so evident to me that they are manhandling him a little bit at the vet to get the treatments done they need to get done. And it's reflecting on me. So I came up with a plan this time, and that is they can do the nails at the vet since he keeps having to go into the vet. And if I don't do the nails, I don't get any pushback from the dog. So he was back to his normal self. We didn't backtrack so far. It wasn't recoverable with me. But the relationship that I have with the dog is apparently not going to be able to have those adversarial moments because of what's going on consistently every couple weeks at the vets. But it was like a light bulb coming on. I totally get why he didn't want me to do anything because he was expecting a huge fight where no fight needs to be. So we had a very good, pleasant
Right.
experience. I
Right.
didn't have to muzzle. I did have them put the muzzle on from the beginning so that I could get his bottom done. But after that, I pulled the muzzle off, and he was non-confrontational. And I was very pleased because I started to question what I had done to create it. And I realized now, nothing I'm doing. I can't do enough in every 3 to 4 months with that dog to actually have a gigantic effect. But boy, going to the vets every other week or whatever it's been, that definitely has an effect. I must say, I
So
pulled that
do
ear
you?
hair
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
this
Um,
time. This time I did because I had the muzzle on him and I thought, screw this. They can't even get the medicine past the ear hair. And it was red and inflamed on one side. So I cleared it out. They had attempted, I could see they had attempted pulling the ear hair, but they had not really, they hadn't gotten the stuff that was down in the, like that was matted together with the, it was so easy to pull out. I mean, how hard could they have tried? I grabbed it and it just came out. It wasn't even, no hemostats needed or anything. It wanted to
mhm.
go, and yet it looked like they had plucked like the upper part of, I don't know. It was interesting. Anyway, the ear looked like it was healing, so I just cleaned out what gave up easily, and but I was pleased because that had really bothered me. I don't usually go backwards with dogs. I go forwards. They get a little bit better until they hit a wall where they just don't get any farther, usually somewhere around the nails, but the rest of everything else goes fine and there's no battle anymore. But wow. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I had a
I
great
I
vacation.
oh good, and
Yeah.
you rode those roller coasters even
Yes,
though it was cold.
I did. You were going to say something
Jesus.
maybe about the ears?
Uh, no, I'm not going to get into that anymore
Okay.
again. I had no, I had an unusual occurrence that is somewhat troubling. And I'll tell you, it wasn't troubling in terms of my business, but it was shuffling in terms of our industry.
Uh-oh.
And this is what happened. So I got a call. I got a call on my cell phone. You know, I'm not answering the shop phone, and the reason is that my hearing is so poor that I can't hear people very well on the messages and on that phone. And so I just am referring people to call my cell. I got a cell phone call, and they wanted to know they had mini dachshund that needed a nail trim, and do I do that on a walk-in basis, and was I available? And I said, sure, anytime after 10:30. Actually, this was all by text. So I at 10:30, the this older couple, oh well, older, not older than me, but
That's so funny.
yeah, right. This mature couple comes in, and they're carrying their little long-haired dachshund, and they sat. I did my usual thing, and what I do with these walk-in dog trims, where I don't know the dog and I don't even know the people, is that instead of taking the dog and taking it in the back and dealing with whatever happens, I go out front. I sit in a chair. I have the person with the dog sit beside me in the chair, and I talk to them both, and then ultimately I clip the nails while they're in mom or dad's arms. Well, uh, they right right away, before we got into too much conversations, they told me that they were new in town and they were looking for a groomer, and and that when they walked in the door, they knew I was a winner. And I said, "What?" And they said, "Because it doesn't smell bad."
Oh, yeah,
I
I
said,
could see that.
"Okay." So then they said that they had been to two other places that had failed, the smell test. And that rang a whole lot of bells, because I can remember a day, I can remember a time span many years ago when I was new, that might have applied to me, and I had two shop cats that I later found out were using the potted plants,
Cats.
because I yeah, boy, found that out when I went to test to see if the soil was damp.
Yeah.
It wasn't soil.
Ew.
So, um, so I listened to them. So they said that one place was so dirty they just didn't know how the people could work in there, and they said that there was like dog hair hanging off of every fixture and the on the walls and everything. And you know what? We go nose and eye blind to our own facilities, and if we don't have a if we don't have a cleaning protocol in place, we tend to let things slide, and we just get the hell out of there, and come late and leave early, and don't do adequate cleaning, and don't see what the stranger sees. And it's really important to walk into your shop like you were a stranger every now and then, and see what pops out at you. Does it smell? You probably, if your place has an odor, you probably become nose blind to it, and you probably don't even inhale through your nose when you walk through the door. You
Yeah.
just you just
Instantly mouth
avoid that.
breathe.
Instantly mouth breathe, and it's your own place. But they were very disappointed, and on one of the two places, they watched the groomer walk away from the dog on the table, and the dog jumped off the table in the noose.
Oh my God.
And they said, fortunately, it was a large dog and its toes touched the floor. But God Almighty, don't do that. don't don't walk away. First of all, just don't do that. Don't walk away from a dog on the table in a
Ever.
noose
Yeah.
ever. And secondly, um, just like there again, you gotta see, you gotta look through the eyes of a stranger every now and then, and you got to take a close look at what you're doing that might appear strange on a video, or in the case of this, somebody that walks in the shop that doesn't know you. So so I don't know if they'll be back. They're going to go to some other places, but I know that they were very happy at my place. But it's not about me. I wasn't glad that I won, kind of. No, I was just like one out of three that passed. I passed, and I was grateful for that. But I was sorry for the other people, and I was sorry that is a reflection of our local groomers now on these people.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a challenge for me to keep
it's
it good smelling in the little tiny trailer that I have because underneath the floor mats gets really gross right away during the day. The water gets down there right away and it just starts smelling, even though it's clean. But mostly my place smells like cologne and shampoo smells once that first bath goes. But the very first
Yeah,
appointment is a little bit rough. And I'm thinking as you're talking here, what I should do is schedule an appointment for my trailer to get groomed so that I have
yeah,
in the middle of my day at some point in time a block of time where I do nothing but go out there and wipe the walls down because that's really the worst part for me. And I wipe the tops of the shampoos off all the time. I wipe down little bits and pieces, but to actually get every wall wiped down at one time so it looks decent in there, it would be good for me to schedule in time for that. So good topic. Good
yeah.
unexpected
Well,
topic.
okay. So, what else is on our agenda today?
Well, I'd love to tell you. The funny thing is that there's a cat sitting on my agenda paperwork. So let me remove him. Come here, buddy. There we go. Okay. Well, let's see. Oh, I know. Let's talk about dog foot care. Dog foot care.
Okay.
So we had 31 days straight of rain in the month of January. I mean, no breaks,
Mm.
31 days. Some of that was actually snow. Then we had 1 day break, and then it started raining again. It's just been
Ugh,
a lot of
God.
wetness, and I think that people's feet suffer. People meaning the dogs. I don't know why I call them people. The dogs' feet suffer in this weather. It's cold, it's dry, my hands are all cracked. The dog feet can get cracked as well. And I just thought I'd talk about dog feet and see what your thoughts are on it. So let us start with I have actually paper because I'm watching the Facebook feed over here. I actually am watching that Facebook feed, you guys. I don't know if you can tell. Anyway, let's talk first of all about grooming feet. So, talk about shaving pads. Do you shave pads or do you scissor pads?
I mostly shave pads, and I mostly do. But so here's the other thing: do you go over the tops of the pads, or do you dig in there between the around the big pad? Well,
That's
I
question
mostly
two.
dig. Oh, okay. Sorry,
No, it's good.
but
Go ahead. They
yeah,
got kind of go together. They have to go together.
yeah. Like uh, and I mostly do pads, and but I do have a much harder time if a dog is struggling with feet. It's becoming hard for me to do that if they're struggling because of my hand issues. So there are times when if I do some very regular dogs, monthly dogs, that I will skim the pads and then check next time in between. So that's kind of an adjustment I've made due to my own failings. But I pretty much believe in cleaning the pads out. That was an interesting factoid when I visited Scotland about my first trip, which was probably about 15 years ago. At at the school where I visited, they didn't do the pads.
Not
They
at all.
said that no. Um, they said that that was protection. The dogs had that fur for protection of the feet. Um, but the truth is, the stickers can get jammed up in there and can't come out, and you can end up having serious infections and stuff. And if you've ever had poorly fitting socks or something stuck on the inside of your foot, between your shoes and your foot, you know how uncomfortable that is.
It
And
seems
you
like
know,
it's a
like,
much larger object than it actually turns out to be. It's a teeny tiny little rock and it feels like the size of a boulder in between your foot and your,
yeah,
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 ow.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what dogs do is they'll kind of try to tend to that, and maybe lick their feet and chew their feet a lot, and then that can cause problems. Or they just walk funny so that they don't walk on it, and then that's even more serious kind of structural um, problems, if they're like walking on the inside or the outside of their foot. So, yeah, it's I was kind of shocked by that, and she was like a gun dog. Over there, they don't call them sporting dogs; they call them gun dogs. So she was a gun dog person.
Do you,
And so these were working dogs that were working out in the field. That she said that they wouldn't dig into those paths. That was considered natural.
so what blade do you use, or do you use your Bravera or Figura or
Yeah, I use my 5-in-1, and I usually use it on about a 15 setting. And if it's bad, I'll go into it, use a 40 blade setting.
I'm a
You know,
40 with the
just
clipper vac, and I rarely touch the foot unless it's matted, and then I'll go in and get behind that mat. Sometimes, sometimes I'm a level with the pad. If a dog has reoccurring matting, or for instance, here in the Northwest, we have a lot of trees that produce sap. I don't know. I didn't notice a lot of sap producing cactuses, but we get a lot of sap and pine boughs stuck in there and all that. Are there?
Yeah, no, I raised my hand to you because I had a papillon yesterday that had sticky, ick, horrible mats in his ears. Papillon ear, important hair,
Yep.
because the husband had dropped honey coated ham on the dog.
Oh man, that's fun.
And it had dried in the hair,
Yes,
and it was
gross.
matted. Oh man, and she hadn't been able to get it out, and Yvonne couldn't get it out. I got it out. You
Impressive.
want to know how? I
Yes.
am I am the I am the mat master, the dematting queen. I use two important. Well, I used three things. I used a silicone based spray, and she said she had used Cowboy Magic gel,
Uh-huh.
and it hadn't worked, and it just made things worse. Well, I didn't use a gel. I used a Best Shot sentiment spray, and when I had deeper problems, I used a dry clean spray with starch. Because if I had had it available to me, I would have used cornstarch to kind of soak up the sticky stuff and help me be able to break apart that mat. And then the third thing that I used that was critical, I used my half moon comb, large end, just to pick apart. But that comb has helped me demat fine hair better than anything I've had my hands on in my lifetime. And it's because it makes it so much less painful the when you can catch just a couple of hairs with those fine but spaced out tines on the wider side of the half moon combs.
All right. Well, now I'm going to steer the train back to feet. Back over to feet.
Sorry,
That's okay. It's
but
fine.
mats are mats, you
Yes,
know.
mats are mats. So let's talk mats we talked about mats in the pads. So how do you get them out? So I generally get the clipper back out and I try to get some space between the pad and the hair a little bit so that I can get in there with the 40. And then with the suction, it comes out pretty easily. But oftentimes then behind that pad is irritation and uncomfortable feet. So what do we do to soothe the foot that's had a mat in the pad?
Gold bond.
Ah, Gold Bond. Gold Bond. How about fizzy tablets in the bathtub?
Yep.
Fizzy tablets in the bathtub. I think that
But
a little.
mostly I have already bathed the dog when I find the the mat. You know,
Ah,
if I know, but if I know ahead of time, then I can add it to the bathing regime.
I
But
guess it's
most
such a
often,
such a reoccurring problem here with the sap and the pine trees and the fir trees
yeah,
that I
yeah.
check there before I put the dog in the bath. I stick my feet. I stick my
My
finger.
finger,
This is not my foot. I stick my finger in the pads and I feel for mats because I want to work on
yeah,
those before I actually get the dog into the bath if I need to use the fuzzy foot thing in
yeah.
there afterwards because it's yes.
Understandable. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So, okay, so now there's also mats on the top of the feet though. What do you do with those between the toes mats? Who's buzzing your phone?
I Nobody. AliExpress
Oh,
uh,
just put something over it. It's
just
fairly loud. Just like
I
stick.
didn't hear it.
Well,
See,
I
I
know.
didn't hear that.
Welcome to the morning of the Groom
Okay,
Pod.
uh,
This is what happens.
okay.
Okay.
I turned it off. Um,
Okay, so between the
okay,
toe mats.
okay. So I comb them upwards, and I use my small thinning shears to get in there and cut them off. And then
So,
that helps to blend it all together so it doesn't look so gouged out,
okay.
kind of thing.
I can see that, but what do you do with that big gnarly mat that's in there? Are you gonna cut that out? Are you gonna try to comb it out? Are you gonna put some gel in there and try to comb it
I
out?
no, I don't. You know, actually, even though I am the dematting queen, I do not uh, go through a lot to demat feet. If it doesn't comb out with a little bit of spray and a proper utensil, I will cut those out because I don't want the dog to become foot shy with me. I don't want to be. It could be a deal breaker. You
Okay,
know,
fizzy
like
tablets. By fizzy tablets, I mean, see, I get to look at the Facebook comments and actually respond to them while they're happening, unlike the other times we've been doing live. The fizzy tablets are bath bombs, or the Marshmallow Lady Faith is making a fizzy tablet. I think Christine makes a fizzy tablet. Warren London makes a fizzy tablet. But for me, it's dollar store bath bombs, and they're three for a buck.
yeah,
Yep. And they
we
really do.
love bath bombs. And I have done one other thing. I have done original Alka Seltzer.
Oh, there you go.
But you know, not the current contemporary Alka Seltzer. You have to shop around and find the original Alka Seltzer that doesn't have the painkiller in it, and it's just got the fizzy stuff. It's
Okay.
kind of like a mini. It's kind of like a mini bath bomb in a way, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
circling back to the toes, have you ever seen people take the comb through the and rake it through the toe, like up and down verticals, so it just looks, as opposed to combing it up and pulling the hair out, raking it through with the end of the comb? Have you ever seen that done? I saw it the other day. I don't know what I was looking at.
I don't know, but that's the way that Yvonne demands.
Oh, interesting. I just think I just
But
thought it was a unique method. I don't do it that way. And I'm a big cutter outer of mats. I don't mess around with it, but uh, I'm more of a utilitarian groomer, a groom for not getting shit stuck in the feet. Ooh,
so
I said a swear.
so if so, not kidding. I'm sorry, I'm a bad influence on you. So in the um, when you use the thinning scissors over the top of the foot, and you've kind of combed the inside up, combed between the toes up. If it's matted and you scissor it, you break up the matting that way, and then you can comb down and or whatever more easily, unless it's a huge clump that's on the foot itself,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, so the fizz doesn't release the mats. The fizz actually makes the foot feel better when there's been a mat in there that's been irritating or feeling
When
like a
yeah,
piece of rock in
right,
there. Yep.
right,
So there you
yeah.
go. Okay, cool. Let's move on to um, nails. Let's talk about nails. I'm a proponent of dremeling nails when I can, but I will occasionally clip a nail if it's what I kind of cater it to what the dog does. And I know as you've been getting older, you have a little bit more difficult time with the Dremel, and I can totally see that happening because my Dremel's pretty heavy, and managing a struggling dog with the Dremel is it can be challenging, but that's my favorite way to do nail trims. How about you?
I
Your
I
favorite way,
probably
I know
clip.
your favorite way. Your favorite way is to have Yvonne do the nail trim. That would be the best.
No, after nearly 7 years, I have given up on Yvonne ever doing the nail trim. Well, aren't we just the voice?
Oh,
That's a bell. My bell.
now you guys can actually see Barbara's dog, or maybe not.
No, you can't. No, nobody can see her.
Okay.
She is shamefully disarrayed.
Okay, well we won't go
She's
we
gonna
won't dwell.
she's a number 7 comfort clip waiting to happen. Well,
Okay.
okay, so no, back to the feet. What were we saying? Oh, nails.
Yeah.
Oh no, I want to tell you, I've gotten to just hate nail trimming. And to dew claws. Some of those dew claws are so tight against the foot, and you have to kind of pry them a little bit away from the foot in order to get the clipper to fit in there. And when you're using a Dremel, if it's any kind of a coated dog, it's real scary to use a Dremel on a dew claw. So
Oh yeah,
I
I
almost
clip dew claws.
always,
I clip
yeah,
every
I
dew claw.
almost always clip my dew claws, and but if I know that the people want them dremeled, I'll do that. Or if I know they have young children, I'll dremel the nails. Or if they're elderly people with fragile skin, we dremel for that. But my preference is just to snip them with the clippers because it's much quicker and it's less holding the foot time for my left hand.
Right,
Okay?
and guys, remember the angle you cut the nail at has an effect on how actually short the nail is. So if you've got the nail here and you cut it straight across, it is not nearly as short as if you cut it at an angle this way. You're getting much less nail, much more nail removed if you cut it at an angle rather than just cutting straight down across the bottom, even though it's really not affecting the quick. It's more just the outside that it affects. So do take a look at some nail trim videos if you don't know what I'm talking about there. And ah, oftentimes we are the people that inspect the feet the most, especially with some of the elderly clients. And oftentimes we see foot problems like growths or more importantly, fungal infections in the toenails that can indicate bigger health problems. So that brown discoloration that you see up towards the end of the nail can be nail fungus or nail bed infections. And sometimes if it's constant and you don't live in a mud pie like we do here in the Northwest, you need to get that looked at. So sometimes a suggestion to take the dog to the vet when you see some foot and nail issues coming along, because really nail issues make well, you know how it is when your feet hurt. It makes standing no good. So you got to get those things looked at. So anything you think we
Yeah.
should talk
So,
about?
well, so yeah. So just kind of on a related thing, when you run into a growth, and it could be on the foot or maybe anywhere, do you a groom it so that you camouflage the growth, cover it up, or B, expose it? So I generally, if I don't know that the people already know about a growth, I will expose it so that they have to see it every day.
Yep, I
You
can
know
see
what I'm
that.
saying?
Yep,
Every day.
yep.
You know, now I kind of made a mistake this week, and I exposed a growth on a dog's thigh, outer thigh, that I asked Yvonne, did the people know about this growth? And she said, I don't think so. She does, you know, in other words, she didn't ask, she didn't find out
Yeah.
that she doesn't know. And so I exposed the growth, and it turns out that they took the dog the last time that I exposed the growth to the dermatologist who said, "Oh, all these dogs get those. It's nothing." Ugh. And this was another one, and and their mother and her mother, who owns the dog, is going to be a little upset about the hole I made. So,
Well, being the veterinary
so I
employee
said,
that I am, if I have, I write it down in the file when I find a lump so that I know if we've had the conversation. When I bring the dog back in, I say, have you seen the lump at so and so a spot? If in fact they are going to take the dog to the vet, I shave that bad boy naked because the vets don't do a very good job. So I make a nice margin around it so that it's easy for them to see and make a determination if they want to do a fine needle aspirate or take it off or laser it or do whatever. At least they've got a good view of it. From then on, if they don't actually do anything with that lump, then I leave it covered up because
yeah,
for the most part, I'll camouflage it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Once you know that they've addressed it, or at least they're aware of it. Um, and in this case, the growth looked a little angry, and I don't know whether Yvonne had brushed it or combed it and kind of woke it up, made it bleed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't exactly tell, but it looked a little angry, and so that was part of the reason why I went ahead and exposed it. And you know, you just got to be willing to make a mistake here and there, and that's the truth. You've got to be willing every day that sometimes you're going to make some mistakes, and you just
Yeah. Own up
need to
to it.
own that. Yeah,
Yep.
own up to it. Right. Okay. Sorry, I did that. I'll
Yeah.
fix it next
Oops.
time. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. Speaking of oops, I did a dog the day before I left on vacation, and then I did
Yeah.
its parents, two dogs, the day after I got back. And I looked at the dog I did before vacation, and I saw some crazy hairs that I obviously missed on the haircut because I had vacationitis.
Right.
So I texted them and I said, let your daughter know that I'll fix Milo's hair next time I'm over at your house. And Grandma says, well, I don't see anything wrong with Milo's hair. It's so funny how I saw a completely different haircut than they were seeing. They were totally fine with the way the dog looked, and all I could see was crazy hairs I had left on the dog. Oh my God. Well, let's take a moment and then we're going to come back with our back to school segment, which is really an Angry Bird segment. I love Angry Bird segments. Barbara, tell me about hypno, hypo,
Hyponic.
hyponic. Thank you. Tell me about hyponic shampoo and your impression of it.
Well, okay, so a GroomPod member had been referred to this line of products, Hyponic, and I guess she got some samples or something, and wanted to know. And I know I've talked about it before, But this this company just makes me furious. It's not the product is probably okay, and I've got to tell you, I have not used the products. I cannot testify about the effectiveness of the products, but the marketing of the products is so irritating to me. Well, this let me tell you why. It's because they start out, I mean, and they have this first of all, we need to keep in mind the hyponic shampoos are manufactured in Korea. And it would appear that the marketing has been suggested from Korea. And they make a big deal about that they started this line because their personal dog, had lifelong skin problem caused by shampoos.
I saw
Now,
that.
Susie, you you know that that's not so.
Oh, yeah, they can't
That
fool me with that kind of language.
they
I
can't
listen to
fool
this
you,
show.
but
I listen to this
but they
show.
but they make a big deal. So the first thing that I run into with them is what I call the big lie. And it goes like this: shampoo is ingested through our scalps.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Oh, my gosh. I thought we were beyond
No,
that.
no, we are beyond that. But do you know what? That lie of shampoos being, and they make a reference right there in writing and in pictures of topical heartworm medication.
Ha!
So they say that just like that because tropical heartworm medication becomes systemic, that means that shampoos do also. That
No,
is
that's.
totally erroneous. It is totally false information. And I will emphasize heartworm medication has been engineered to be transdermal.
It has a carrier.
Shampoo shampoo is a rinse off product that does not permeate the skin. Oh, damn, it makes me so mad. And they go on. I really only kind of got through the shampoos, but I looked at their uh, detangler mist and everyday mist. And in that marketing, they make a big deal about no surfactants.
Yeah,
See, they're just
wow.
making these generalized statements that are absolutely untrue. And they say, your pet skin is 5 times more sensitive than human skin. What does that mean? 5 times? What does more sensitive mean? Ticklish? I don't think
Maybe.
so. You know, like more sensitive than you, and far more susceptible to harmful ingredients found in detergents and soap widely used in most shampoo. What a horrible sentence. What
So,
a
guess.
bad, I mean, it's fun. That is indeed malignant misinformation, right? That
Yep.
is misinformation created to make you afraid of other products. And that sucks a big one. Oh, excuse me. So they go on to say our products are free of hazardous chemical substances. Okay, well, that's nice to know. But then in parentheses, free of sulfate, PEGs, parabens, cocamidopropylbutane, silicone, mineral oil, etc.
So, what are they
Uh,
using for the cleaner? How are they
so
getting.
you know what they've done. Here's their tactic. They are using what I call novel ingredients.
Okay.
Novel. Now I would call them in a if I wanted to be a little bit passionate, I would call them obscure ingredients. But
Okay.
I'm going to be, I don't want to just like make it look like they're bad ingredients. They're not. They're not obscure in so much as they are novel. They are novel enough that I had to add almost all of their cleansing ingredients to my glossary. They were new to me.
Huh.
For now, they lead off with babassuamidopropylbutane.
Wow.
Now that's not a
That is an
bad
impressive
ingredient.
name. You just threw that one out there,
Well,
and I'm looking at it, trying to work through it. Wow. Go ahead, do it again.
babassuamidopropylbutane.
Excellent.
It's and you know I think this is an ingredient that actually this is not that obscure. It is a common kind of substitute for cocamidopropylbutane. And I'm going to tell you that the things that make cocamidopropylbutane have some issues are how it's manufactured, not the ingredient itself. And babassuamidopropylbutane is manufactured in the same exact same procedure and process and uses the same disgusting intermediate product that cocamidopropylbutane. It's just that you're not going to recognize babassuamidopropylbutane as bad. And then their next surfactant, sodium cocoyl alaninate. Okay, what?
Yeah, that's
You
even
know,
harder
okay,
to
so
say.
so they these ingredients are just made that it's like you haven't seen them before. Nobody's pointed them out as dangerous, and so they're novel, and so they're acceptable.
But it's
They're
still a
acceptable.
surfactant. I mean, isn't this sodium lauryl methylolipropyl? That
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
isn't
I
that a
can.
surfactant?
Yes, sodium lauryl methylaminopropionate. Okay,
Sodium
sodium
lauryl
lauryl methylaminopropionate.
methylaminopropionate. Okay, got it. I'll just throw
It's
that
a
one out at the
sodium
next
salt.
Scrabble table.
It's a sodium salt of lauric acid. Lauric acid is a salt that's extracted from coconuts.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, you know, and they are calling all of these ingredients natural, which just like makes me puke. I'm sorry. Look at here. Disodium cocoyl glutamate. That's the third one. So they have they you know, and so they have four surfactants instead of one or two, right?
Right.
Disodium cocoyl glutamate. I'm going to read something that I got from a website called organicglow.com. And they say, sounds natural enough, right? No, well, actually, disodium cocoyl glutamate. I've never heard that growing on a bush.
Yeah.
But you see, it's not just disodium cocoyl glutamate. It's disodium cocoyl glutamate parentheses from coconut oil.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds natural enough, right? Wrong. To make this ingredient, you begin with a raw natural coconut oil. Next comes the extraction process, where this oil is separated out for use with petrochemicals and other chemical solvents. So a synthesis process has to occur in order to extract the coconut oil out, okay? The extraction is followed by extensive processing and forced reactions with synthetic chemicals, usually several reactions with several chemicals, which transforms the ingredient until a foam boosting chemical surfactant is produced. This ingredient is marketed as from coconut oil or naturally derived, when it is no longer equivalent to coconut oil, but in actuality is a synthetic creation. To put it simply, disodium cocoa glutamate from coconut oil does not grow on coconut trees.
Right. So
Got
basically,
it? You know,
it's a really sneaky marketing campaign.
it's very sneaky. It's very slimy. Um,
The
and
product may be great, but the marketing is not so great. Do you
the
know what kind
marketing,
of dog the dog was? Imagine this kind of dog having any skin problems. It's a Cocker Spaniel. Their Cocker Spaniel had skin problems that were shampoo derived. I'm just not buying it. But that's what interesting.
So here is it. You know, like they have no PEGs, but they have PPG for myristal ether. Now, it's a skin softener. The polypropylene glycol ether of myristal alcohol. Does that seem natural? It's
No,
not a PEG, but it's a PPG, which is the same goddamn process,
it's
you
still
know?
ethoxylated, right?
It's
How about that?
yes, it's
See,
still
I can
yeah,
handle
it's
it.
thank you. You
I was just
you are
trying to impress
so
you with my retention.
and I got it. You are so impressive. Susie,
Ah,
you've grown so much in your
thank you.
knowledge of this stuff.
And I did a
So
255-foot first drop roller coaster. So there.
okay, well, yeah, well, good for you.
Okay.
I would never do that. So look at this. PPG. This PPG for Marisol Ether is so novel that it doesn't even show up in the CIR assessment of PEG and PPG cosmetic ingredients that was done in 2016. So
Is
based on
this the
assessments, it's probably very safe, you know, but it's notable that Hyponic makes a big deal out of not using PEG ingredients, and the difference between PEG and PPG ingredients is that PEGs are made through reaction with ethylene oxide, and PPGs are made with propylene oxide. Ethylene oxide is a known carcinogen, and propylene oxide is a possible carcinogen. It just hasn't been locked into yet. They undergo the same synthesis process and share the same concerns regarding toxic byproduct of 1,4-dioxane, which can be removed and is removed by most post manufacturing processes.
All
So
right.
here's what I say: the biggest difference between PEGs and PPGs is that PEGs have a perception problem
Oh,
and PPGs don't, right?
right.
Ugh. Why is this all, and why is this of any importance, Susie? Ask me.
Barbara, why do you care so passionately about this marketing issue and others
because
like it?
marketing because how a company markets is a reflection of their integrity and their honesty, uh, and so they just put ideas in your mind that are toxic, that are so erroneous and so misleading, and their words become your beliefs.
Your truth, if you will.
Their words become your truth, and it's just